See, it's stuff like this that gives me trust issues.
Welcome to the Trust Issues podcast. We have trust issues with the traditional society-dictated path, with the status quo, with the whole get an education, land a job, and work tirelessly until you're 6 feet under. It's time to upgrade your life with the help of us. I'm Erica.
And I'm Kyle Auckland. We're a husband and wife duo, but we're also entrepreneurs, biohackers, and business builders.
Every week, we're dedicated to having purposeful conversations with each other and leading experts on topics like wellness, relationships, and entrepreneurship.
Subscribe to Trust Issues Podcast if you're looking for bold topics, honest dialogue, and valuable lessons. All right, guys, so welcome back to another episode of Trust Issues Podcast. I'm Kyle.
And this is Erica.
And we are so excited because today we have my buddy, Nick Shaw. He has built one of the biggest diet and training programs, one that puts an emphasis on either building or maintaining muscle while decreasing fat. RP Strength. I have known Nick now for, I met you back in, was it 2017 or so? 2018 even?
Something like that. It's been a while, man.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but meeting Nick, this was me and Erica. We got into CrossFit, and we've been literally following RP since almost its conception. When did you start RP?
We had our 10-year anniversary last year, so over 10 years now. This fall will be like 11 years. The first few years were sort of like, just Mike and I working with people. So like no one really knew who we were for a while.
Yeah.
I would say like probably 2015, 16 is when we started to get maybe a little bit more well-known. And that was like right around the time that I moved from New York down to Charlotte too, which is, I don't know how long it was after that, but I probably got, connected with you over at Stacks.
Yeah. Well, so like with CrossFit, anyway, we got into it, and I remember literally we set up our templates, and it was the old school. You'd have to print them out, put them up on the wall, and basically follow along. And that's how me and you both got into it.
Yeah. And we're excited. We're excited to hear more about your journey as a business owner, because our audience is absolutely entrepreneurial, wanting to kind of get out of the rat race, creating something for themselves. And a lot of fitness experts or professionals. And what you have done is just mind-blowing. Obviously you just hit 10 years, but what we've seen your whole journey of how you've taken this concept, created the app, how many people you have, your consumers, your users that you have now, it's truly amazing. So we're excited to dive into that and kind of hear your journey as RP Strength and what you've done to build this business. Yeah,
thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. It's great to be here.
Well, so I guess starting off, let's let you kind of open up with RP and explain to everyone, how you started, what is it, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah. So it's over 10 years. What's really interesting is we've kind of had this like full circle thing happen. And it's probably a really interesting lesson to sort of share with folks. And like my background is sports, and I just love lifting and I love training. And same with Mike. We met at the University of Michigan in the weight room. He convinced me to do like a powerlifting meet. I just loved that. I loved competing. I loved everything about it. He helped me do like my first ever bodybuilding show, like way back in 2008. Yeah, 2008. Actually, like June of 2008. It's like 15 years ago.
Wow.
But anyways, it's like a full circle thing because I guess long story short, so we started off in more like hardcore circles, bodybuilding, powerlifting, got into weightlifting, got into CrossFit, but definitely more of like, you have to be into fitness already to really take advantage of RP. Like we're definitely not for like general population folks that are like dabbling into fitness or something for the first time. And I think there's a little bit of a stretch there, probably around like 2020 or so, when we maybe got a little bit lost in that and sort of lost like our target market and like our avatar. And maybe we tried to dip too heavily into like going more general population. Yeah. There's like this allure, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with it, but it's like, well, like the general market is just so big. If you only get like 1% of it, there's so many people. And it's like, it's just not really a thing. You don't do that. It's like, you actually need to be more targeted. You need to be more specific. You need to be very much for a specific subset of people. And, with most recently, we came out with our RP hypertrophy app. And again, it's like we've come full circle back into that because like now I can just very freely on social media, like this is an app that I use literally every single day of my life. I can just post about it very organically and people love it. And like we've done really, really well with it, sort of exceeded all of our expectations at launch. And for me, it's just like this big lesson of like, well, we kind of got lost trying to be for everyone. And when, I'm sure you guys know this too, when you're for everyone, you're for nobody. Yeah. And so like, we've kind of had to like, oh, hey, duh, to kind of come back to that and have that realization. And it's fun. Like, it's a lot more fun now too, because like, I don't know, it's a lot easier to be organic and be your true self online rather than trying to be like, oh, you know, like if you're new to fitness, you should do these 3 things. And that's not me. Like, I don't know, go to, I don't know, Weight Watchers or something like that if you want to start there. And there's a really good start. But like, hey, if you're serious about dialing it up, you know, there's a bunch of different questions people ask. And yeah, it's been really cool. But that's like, it's a big lesson that, again, it's just so funny because that's how we started. And here we are over 10 years later, really coming full circle, really leaning back into that. So that's my big takeaway, I guess.
So you just hit the 10-year mark. And can you describe maybe the biggest challenges you guys have faced growing RP and maybe what you've learned from it?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first one we touched on a little bit of just being really confident in like who you're going after is a big one.
Yeah.
And really that just ties into like the larger picture of marketing. And I think we were sort of guilty of sometimes you can be successful and like you don't really 100% fully understand why. For example, I think we rode a lot of the waves of like social media and Instagram, and well, gee whiz, like they can just change things on a whim and you don't really understand. And so like I think it was about 2 years ago, 2021, it seemed like all the algorithms on Instagram changed, and it just like completely changed the game for us. And we were like, oh, this is really weird. Like things all of a sudden got a lot tougher. And so we had to really pivot a lot. Now, the good news is you know, my buddy, Dr. Mike, has really been blowing up like the YouTube side of things. Yeah. And YouTube seems to operate quite a bit differently because, you know, they actually pay you to produce content and you get paid for all that. And so it seems to be quite a bit different than like Facebook, Instagram. But that was a really interesting one because sometimes you don't learn as much when you're successful. And then you kind of have to get punched in the face a little bit. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, now we actually need to like really learn and understand all this. So I don't know, for me, like the last 6 or 8 months, I've really had to like take a deep dive and understanding into like real true marketing practices and make sure we have like the fundamentals aligned. Because before it was like, we just did really well because of social media. And well, we just kept growing on social media and sort of organically traffic just went and, you know, bought our stuff. And we didn't really have a clear understanding as to why that was and all that. So like, to me, it all ties back into marketing and like, cause we've got good products, yes, and we've got a good reputation and all that, but we were maybe missing some of that core fundamental principles of marketing. And I feel like, I'm not saying like we're great at it now, but we at least have a little bit better understanding. And now if people talk to me about marketing stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. Like I kind of get what's going on here. Whereas before I would have been like, you know, like social media, website, and yeah, obviously it worked a little bit, but like I'm biased because I've been diving so deep into that like the last 6-8 months or whatever. But those are probably like my biggest takeaways. And I'm sure, you know, there's a ton of other ones, but like that's probably the number one top of mind to me right now.
Yeah. I love it. I think that, you know, that's a testament of true entrepreneurship. It's just, you have to pivot. You have to learn every skill set as much as you can outsource, and you can bring on a team to do things for you. At the end of the day, like you are RP, and knowing every aspect of your business to a degree allows you to continue to scale it. And, you know, we can outsource, but ultimately like you're going to make the decisions, right? So I would love to ask you, okay, so you know, we have an entrepreneur right now. They want to take their fitness program to the masses. Maybe they've built a little bit of a decent following on IG, and you know they're doing a very much a one-to-one model in terms of how they work with their clients. What would you say works right now, or what would you give an advice to a newer fitness professional wanting to put themselves out there? Maybe they want to. Should they develop a program? Should they have an app? Like, what would you start? Considering especially like where we're at today and how much has changed. If you had to start over today, what would you do different? What would you do? What wouldn't you do?
Oh man, some really good questions. So I think again, like we had a little bit of the benefit of catching the early waves of like Instagram and Facebook and social media before everyone was a fitness coach. So there's probably something to that. I don't know how much of that you could consider luck. You know, there's always like a little element or, you know, degree of luck in sort of everyone being successful, I suppose. But yeah, right now it would be a lot more competitive. So I think there's a couple things to do is like, you know, make sure, I always tell people like, you probably need to start training people in person first to like understand what you're doing, get used to working with people, build up some social proof, some testimonials, because like, how do you start online if you've never worked with people in person? Like, well, why are people going to work with you? I guess you could say, hey, like my own physique, and you can go and show that off for sure. That's one piece of the puzzle. Like you should probably look the part. Like go out and get some credentials, get like a certification. You probably don't have to go back to school and, spend 10 years in school getting RD, PhD. Like you probably don't really need to do that anymore. Plus like the internet, technology, YouTube, all that stuff, you can go learn so much online. So like I wouldn't even encourage that. But you got to know what you're doing. Get some good, solid certification programs. Obviously, we have one, but like there's a bunch of other good ones out there too, like PN and whatnot. So like, make sure you know what you're doing. You can stand behind it and say, hey, like I have some credentials. Like make sure you look the part. And then like I think that's part of it. The other part is really just kind of playing the long game. And I think this is where a lot of people get thrown off because they're like, well, like I look at, Joey over there and he's got 100,000 followers and, it looks like he's probably, driving a sweet car and doing all this stuff. I was like, okay, maybe, but like he's also been doing this for 10 years and he is, had thousands of clients he's worked with. So it's like, okay, maybe it's not best to compare yourself to him. But like, what if you just started working on trying to get like 5 or 10 clients? Like maybe you have a job that you're doing now. Maybe it is training people in person, but you ultimately want to do more online. Like just try to get a couple clients. And here's the really good news. Like it doesn't take that much to just do a really good job with a few people. You build up testimonials, you build up referrals, you just like ask the people that you work with, you get their before and afters. You're like, hey, I know I'm charging you this, but like I'll give you a free month or whatever if you refer me to a friend, like something like that. Like you don't need 1,000 clients. You need what, like 20 or 30. And to be honest, if you have 20 or 30 clients that are paying you a few $100s a month or something like that, that's a very good side gig. Not even a side gig. That might even be your main gig if you can consistently do that. So I think a lot of people just get really caught up in, like trying to look at all these big time people. And it's like, who cares? Like you have no idea how well they're doing also. They could be like, living in a 1-bedroom spot with, like, who knows what's going on? You have no idea their financials. So like, just focus on you and do the best job that you can. And you're probably going to be on the right track if you do that.
So good. And I think that's literally a testament, what you just said, to RP. Cause I feel like RP has literally been so organically grown. Like every circle I've been in fitness, it's like one person starts to introduce it here and then all of a sudden everyone's doing it. And it's like, I think you guys have, like I said, been such a testament to organically growing RP for all these years.
Definitely something to that because what is it, like organic stuff is it would be like when it rains. You can't really control the weather though. Like sometimes it's going to rain, sometimes it's not. And so you have to get a better and deeper understanding because like then you get into like, again, it's all at a scalable level. Like obviously if you're a newer person, you're not going to start with a bunch of like paid traffic because it probably just doesn't make any sense. So you start more organic. But again, like you can't control when it rains. You can't necessarily control all that because a lot of it's kind of out of your hands. But eventually you can get to a point where maybe you start running paid ads and like that becomes like a faucet. And then if you get everything dialed in, you can monitor all the different levels of the funnel and whatnot. Well, then it's like, okay, well, I want to turn on the water or I want to scale it back or I really want to pour it on. And it's like you get more opportunities that way. But like, again, that's like a later on thing. Here we are talking about that 10 years in, right? But like you don't need to probably do that for several years until you really sort of get somewhere established, have a bunch of clients. And then like maybe you can start to scale after that and, create an app like you said or have more digital products because then that's just allows more scalability because if you're one person, it's obviously harder to scale because your time is then the constraint.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are wanting to run before they walk, and just really, I think it's dollar signs. And I think that especially in this industry of fitness and wellness, we've both been a part of it so many years. Obviously, this is your industry, but it's just kind of concerning sometimes when you're like, oh, there's this new thing on the horizon again. And how long has this person been around? What kind of credentials do they have? And it's like, I think I'm really big on just doing right by the industry because you are dealing with people's health and wellness and their mental health when it comes to, how they look physically and all that stuff. So, just do a good job. Make this industry a good industry. Don't try to come in and be an asshole and just try to make money off of people because you can sell a product online. You can put a funnel together.
Totally. Well, I mean, what you said there is super, super important. And I think sometimes people overlook that. one, you have to do a good job. Like that is, I'm sorry, I should have started with that. Sometimes it's like, it's so obvious that you almost don't need to say it, but you're absolutely correct. You need to do a good job. You need to treat people right. You need to like respond to their emails. You need to be nice. You need to not be an asshole. Like sometimes I feel like that's such common sense that it's like not even part of like business. But then I look around sometimes and I hear stories and I'm like, oh my God, like people don't actually understand that. Like it's not common sense. Like you just have to treat people right. Again, if you do that, that's like literally probably over 50% of the battle, especially when you're working with people one-on-one. Like you guys asked, what would I do if I had to start all over again? It's really interesting because I'm almost like, man, it would be really interesting to start all over again because I would just bust my ass with a small number of clients and do such a phenomenal job for them that I could start to charge a little bit more and more and more and more and more. And I'd probably do something slightly higher ticket rather than like super low ticket because I would just deliver and do a good job. And again, if you charge a little bit more because you do such a good job, you might only need 10 or 20 clients.
Yeah.
Like you don't need 50 or 100.
Yeah, this is true.
And that's, I think so many people always think on the big numbers, like hundreds, thousands, that's what they're always looking at when you can actually make something that's very powerful and very big with small amount of people.
It's like, don't scale before you're ready.
Yes.
You know, take a minute.
100%.
Yeah, that's good.
It's the pyramid, right? You need to have that foundation built. Like you have to have that solid foundation and then you sort of go to the next level. Then you go to the next level. And I think a lot of people just get so caught up and they just want to jump right to the top. And it's like, just
pump the brakes.
Yeah, you have to do a good job first. You have to do all these things right first. Then once you have all that established, then maybe you go to the next thing. Whereas people, but it's fitness 101 too, because people want instant results. It's the same. People want instant results in business and all that stuff. So it's hard. It's hard to teach people patience when it comes to business, fitness, whatever it is. Like it's just really hard.
Yeah, it really is. It's so good. Okay, so you talked about the foundation. What are some of the things that you feel like has made RP so successful, the foundation of what your company is? Because obviously what Kyle was saying, we found you, we were printing out templates and filling them out manually. And now it's like, I mean, what the company is obviously probably been a slow burn, maybe to how it's felt for you guys, because, 10 years retrospect. But what are some of the foundational things that you feel like has made your company successful, and also not just a flash in the pan? Because that's another thing about this industry is that there's so much turnover and there's a lot of attrition in terms of just something works but people don't stick around for a while, or some people do. But what do you feel like makes a company in the fitness industry have longevity? What are some of those foundational things that you guys have put into your company?
I think number one, there's probably three things. Number one is just getting people really good results, because at the end of the day, that is what people want. People are buying results. Like the product is kind of what it is, but people want results. And it used to be, I remember back in the early days, people were like, oh, I'm not sure if RP works. Like, okay, well, that's actually no longer a debate. Like, it clearly works if you do, because we've got so many success stories. So like, that's number one. You have to have a good product. You have to get people the result, like their before and their after, right? Like, where are they trying to get to? You have to do a good job of delivering that. And then sort of being able to explain that. And again, like this goes back to the whole social media thing. Instagram, Facebook was perfect for that, before and after pictures. People saw that. They're like, oh my God, I want that. And so like that was brilliant marketing for us. Again, it's like, not that we were super smart. It just was like, it worked. And lended itself to it. And then obviously all the rules changed. And we're like, oh, actually, we're not as smart as we thought. But so that's number one. You have to deliver people results. You have to give them what they want. Number two, this goes back to what we just talked about. You have to do a good job. I think we've been pretty good at doing everyone thinks they have really good customer service. So I don't know if we have what's the hotel chain? Ritz-Carlton. I don't know if we're at that level, but like, we're not out to cheat people over. Again, we've been around over 10 years. You're not going to stick around if you're trying to cheat people over. We want to get people results and we want to treat them right. People reach out and they have issues. Cool. Like, we'll take care of it. We'll make sure we get back in touch with them. By the way, we've got giant Facebook groups where, like, if we didn't do a good job, people would complain up a storm. It's like, you can't do that in today's age. It's like, you have to do a good job. That goes back to this, just part of it. So that's one and two. And then, number three is probably just like free content. You just have to keep putting out content. This goes back to that sort of slow burn that you alluded to. And I think Alex Hormozy does a really good job of sort of explaining this concept, but like, you don't start by being like a celebrity. Like, you start by being a nobody and you just keep putting out content. Like, no one's going to watch it at first. It might be 5 people, it might be 10 people, but then it just slowly builds up over time and you just keep doing it consistently, right? Like, if you're 100 pounds overweight, you don't get in shape overnight. you lose like a pound the first week, and it feels like nothing even happened. But then you just keep doing it. But here you are 6 months later, and you're like, oh, well, now I'm down 30 pounds. Well, you keep doing that same thing with content, like trying to help people. You have clients, they ask you questions. Okay, every single question that they ask you is like another piece of content that you can use on social media. Like it's something that you can build on. You can just keep doing that and keep sort of, recycling these reoccurring things. You just keep putting it out and you just keep doing a good job and you keep talking about it. You just try to give.
Yeah.
And you just keep trying to give. So like an example is our YouTube channel. So in 2020, we really started to push out with Dr. Mike. We were at like 30, 40,000 subscribers. Not really something we pushed big time. And like, I'm sure you guys know Mike. You've probably seen his stuff before. Dude, like the guy's got the gift of the gab. He's a character.
Dying.
I love Mike. I love
the gift of the gab. You need to put that on a t-shirt. I never heard that
the
before.
Gift of the gab with his face. Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
That's amazing. You need to put that on a t-shirt. That's good.
Yeah, we might have to now. But like, he's just got that skill, and he does. It's just he has it, and so he literally putting out 3, 4, 5 videos a week for like 3 or 4 years now. And so like, now the channel's like really blowing up. It's at like 540K subscribers now. It's just like, sometimes you just, I don't know, there's like waves and stuff to it, I swear. Like sometimes you just get on a wave and you just like ride it. You're not really even sure what's going on. Be like, okay, well, I guess this is happening. But like there's so much free content. Yeah. Literally so much free content. I mean, it's literally like university level stuff that he's just putting out for years and years and years. And so like, then we kind of had that like big ask when we released an app like 3 or 4 years later. I'm like, well, that was kind of the plan. Like you just develop this solid foundation where people trust you as an authority and you just keep giving and giving and giving. Over time, people are going to be like, oh my God, like I want to support these people because look at how much free stuff they've done over time. And so like those are probably like the top 3. And if you do that, you just have to be willing to play the long game, and not everyone's willing to do that because, like you said, they want to be a flash in the pan, and they'll try it for 3 or 6 months, and then they get discouraged, and they're like, "I can't do this. Like this is stupid." All right, fair enough, but maybe you just keep going. Now, maybe there's some survivorship bias there. Okay, that we got to throw that in there. It could be a thing too, but like if you're willing to play that long game enough, and you keep doing that, and you keep giving content and free advice or whatever, like you're going to do well. It's just probably at what level. Again, you don't have to help 1 million people. If you can help 50 people or 100 people, you're probably going to be able to make a good living off of that.
Yeah. Amazing. I love what you said around sometimes you're just riding waves and you don't even know what's happening because that's so real in entrepreneurship. And I think that's also speaks to sometimes nothing's working, or sometimes it feels like you're hitting brick wall after brick wall and you also don't know what's happening. And that's just being your own business owner. It's just the waves.
So like, I think once we hit 500K, it was like literally a month ago. And like now we're at 541.
Wow.
So okay, that's like 41,000 people in less than 5 weeks. So is that an algorithm thing? You hit 500K on YouTube and they sort of start to boost you? Or are we doing something different on the back end? People are watching more back. We're like trying to dive into that and understand. But sometimes you're like, okay, well, I guess this is the thing. And then you just want to make sure, again, that you have the foundations and the system set up that you can hopefully capitalize on it. And like we kind of did, but yeah, like we're still trying to create some more of those just, foundations, because that's a lot of new eyeballs coming in. So like, all right, well, what do we do with those? Like, how do we kind of funnel them into our side? Because then like, I'm sure as you guys know, you can't necessarily control the third party social media stuff. So like you have to be able to get them onto your own list somehow.
Yep.
So like now we're trying to capitalize on all that because it's 40,000 new people here in 5 weeks.
True.
Yeah. So doing something right.
That's good.
Well, and that's kind of leading back into RP and what exactly you guys do. Like, dude, you go on the App Store, you just look around. The market is flooded with, macro calculators, all these different, new companies or whatever coming up for your nutrition. Like, what makes you guys so different? What has made you kind of stand the test of time in the market and be competitive?
Yeah, really good one. I think we've not done a very good job with that with our diet app. I think we so often get compared to MyFitnessPal, and it's like, that's a completely different thing. It's 2 different mindsets. It's like a tracker that you just eat whatever you want, and then you track it afterwards. Yeah. And that's fine. Like, that's for a lot of people. It's just like a food diary. We're not that. And I actually think we need to lean into that more. And it's like, the marketing advertising is like, we're not MyFitnessPal. We don't want to be MyFitnessPal. We're the complete opposite of that. We're not a tracker. We're a coach. We're a proactive planning tool. Like, you sit down and you sort of plan your stuff out. And there are very specific types of people that love that because they want specific results. Like, if you are serious about results, and those are the people that we want to go after, you want a plan. You want something laid out. You want to execute that plan in order to get results. If you just want to track stuff, cool. I think that's great. That's a good start for a lot of people. You get more familiar with what you're eating, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, like, I understand kind of how calories and macros work. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to crap on that idea at all. I think it's awesome. But we're not that. Like, we are a tool that you want to use to get very specific results. Yeah. It's like, I think we need to lean more into that. We need to lean more into the kind of slightly more hardcore demographic of like people that really like that.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, then I think it really separates us from all these tracking tools, because there's so many of them out there now.
And there are. I love how you just explained it, because even people in the past, people I've talked to, that is like the number one thing they kind of not compare RP to, but they're like, oh, well, I use MyFitnessPal. And I'm like, well, it's not MyFitnessPal. So it's funny that you just use MyFitnessPal.
But that's where it's like, in business, you can say, this is who I'm for and this is who I'm not for.
Exactly.
And that's powerful marketing, because that's polarization that will drive your, like you said, more hardcore people to you, who want those more intense lifestyles and more rigid schedules to be like, but that's the exact result I'm going to get, and I'm going to dial it into that point.
Yeah. And like I said, I think we made that mistake for a while, and we were kind of like trying to do that. We're like, well, we can kind of be a tracker too. It's like, no. It's just you just try to be for everyone. You're for no one. And it seriously was 100% my fault, where I was like, no, like, we want to be for everyone. I started prided myself on being like a Switzerland kind of thing. We're like, we're just neutral. And it's like, that's just me not knowing enough about business and marketing. It's like, no, like, we're done with that shit. No. Guess what? You're a general population person. You want to like just dabble a little bit. Awesome. Respect. That is great. That's not who we are. Yeah. So like, it took me a long time to be okay with that. I'm now fully okay with that. I'm like, I'll come on a podcast and just say it. Like, if that's you, you're not for us. If you're serious about results, guess what? RP is going to come in. We're going to be freaking great for you. And you're going to love it. You're going to get results. You're going to tell a bunch of your friends. They're going to be like, holy crap, like, you look so awesome. That's how it's going to work. You want to dabble? There's a million other places you can dabble, and probably totally for free, which is really interesting. We actually like removed our free trial on our apps because we were like, you know what? Nah. You want results? You want to come in? You gotta pay up front, because we got all these people that just want to dabble. And they're like, oh, I want to try it out. I want to do it for free. I want to do it for free. It's like, no, you're not serious. You're not for us, though. If you're serious, you're ready to commit. You're ready to go. You are willing to pay for your results. And guess what? I'm sure you guys have experienced this before, but I've done this a crap ton of times. I've written stuff for free for people. Do you know how many of those people were ultimately successful? Like 1%, because they don't value it because it was free. Guess what? Like, now if people ask me for free stuff, I'm like, nah, you pay up front. Pay. Right. Now you've got skin in the game. You have skin in the game. You are so much more likely to be successful because you have now paid. You have now committed. You have paid up front. You have said, I am going to commit to this. Yes. Like, you are in. You think you are going to do well now. Like, that's, again, just
I'm fired up now. I'm fired up.
And I feel like literally just with what you said, when it comes to body composition, fitness, like, that's the mentality you have to have. People who are like, oh, I'm not having results here, and it's like they explain to you what they're doing, and it's like, it's because you're half-assing everything. Like, you have to be all in.
Well, I want to talk about the results, because I think like we're talking about results, we're talking about what our RP is, but and I know we're talking a lot about business, but let's talk about RP and how it gets people results, because that's so fascinating, because it is so dialed in. And we've done RP multiple times, and I'm like, every time I'm actually consistent with it, it works. So I'm like, I might be one of your middle of the road type of people who you get pissed off at. But I will say that every single time that I follow it, it freaking works. And my metabolism is fired up, and I'm hungry, and I'm like, I've got my appetite, and I feel good. And I feel lean. It's really, it freaking works. So can we talk about what RP is? Why does it work? What's the science behind it? Yes. Like, let's get kind of nitty gritty on it, because I think if someone's listening and they're in the fitness world and they're not getting their people results, then they need to really dial in their process. But also, if someone's listening and they just want to get fit, they want to get healthy, want to get lean, they want to feel good, what does it do?
Okay.
Give us
the
tea.
You mentioned that sometimes you're not consistent. Listen, no one's robots, right? Like we're all going to go through periods and phases in our life where like we don't want to be so like all hardcore and consistent, whatever. So like there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, guess what? You've said you've used it multiple times though. So like there's probably a time and a place where you're like, you know, different, I don't know, phases or journeys in your life where you know what? Like, guess what? Like, I want to get my fitness shit together right now. And it's like, hey, guess what? Like, that's the perfect time to come use RP. You know, if you're like, hey, you know what? Like, whatever, I've got young kids, just fitness is not as much a priority. Fitness is more of like a maintenance thing now. Like, I'm just trying to get through this next, you know, year or so. Like, listen, I get it. I've got 2 small kids. Like, I actually went through a big period like that myself. Of like multiple years where I was like, you know what? Just maintenance. I'm just going to maintain. I'll keep lifting and all that, you know, because I love the lifestyle. But it's not a priority. Now my kids are a little bit older. Guess what? Like now I've tried competing a couple of times. I would not have done that when my kids were really young. Forget about it. But like, so we get back to why it works. So I guess you could sum it up as like probably multiple meals a day. You start with lean proteins at every meal. You start with things like fruits and veggies, healthy fats, and like whole grains. And what is beautiful about that? Well, it's like very minimal junk food. So no real like disagreement there with anyone. You start with a lot of just the basics. And if you eat more like whole unprocessed foods in general, it's more filling. You're not going to be as hungry. You're not going to have cravings. You do that like, you know, eat every few hours. Whether you want to eat 3 meals a day, 5 meals a day, doesn't really matter. There's no real like big mystery there. Anything around that's totally fine. So like you have a lot of flexibility. You just kind of have to understand how it all works. But like a lot of people don't want to understand how it works. So like, I don't know, for me, you know, people like to really get into the nitty gritty. Like you said, I like simple. I like just having a plan that I can execute. I don't necessarily want to overthink everything. It's like, you know, just give me a plan. Like you give me the plan, I'll just follow what it says and I'll get results. So like that's part of it as well. But yeah, it's like you eat every few hours, lean proteins, healthy fats, healthy, you know, carbs, things like that. Fruits and veggies, obviously they're very filling. You know, you do that and it's like making up numbers here, 2,000 calorie diet. Well, if you eat like not junk food, do you know how much food that is? Of like 2,000 calories of
It's
chicken.
a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, well, it's like you compare it to like this giant plate of food, and you're like, oh wow, like that's a lot of food. And so what we'll actually have is when people start, they're like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I'm eating this much. Well, it's the total food volume. It's not the calories necessarily. Calories might actually be going down from what you're used to, but now you're not snacking every few hours, and you're not reaching in and grabbing some of those M&Ms at work or like whatever, you know, having that coffee that's got like a gallon of cream in it. Oh, okay, all of a sudden that's like 500 calories. You don't even notice it. So it's like you just start being more aware of these things, and like that's how it works. Then you just use it with just consistency and training, like weight training. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be like me and train 6 times a week. Like if you're training with weights 3 times a week, like you're probably good.
Yeah.
Full body workouts, you know, the basic compound lifts, great start. Like the RP Hypertrophy app, again, it's not for beginners, but like if you want to kind of get to the next level, you can like go in and just use a preset. So you can do 3 times a week full body. It's like you just pick the exercise or it can autofill for you. If you're lifting 3 times a week and you're consistent with your diet, like you're going to see really good results over you know, the next 3 to 6 months. It's not like it's not magic. It's not really mystery.
And these are like 3, like you said, 3 to 6 month cycles that people go on with the presets.
So, you know, typically if someone wants to come to RP and like they want to get results, they want to lose weight. Again, let's just be honest. Most people want to lose fat and get leaner, right? That's just kind of how it works. Usually you can do that in like 3 months if you have reasonable goals. You know, you want to lose like maybe 10% of your body weight. So if you're a 200-pound male, you know, you get down to like 180, 150-pound female, you know, you get down to 135, 140, something like that. You can usually do that over 3 months. Then of course you want to maintain it afterwards. So like we just created a product when we came out with the Hypertrophy app. We called it a 6-month bundle. And so like part of it is the app for 6 months, but it comes with like a detailed week by week video guide of like, here's what you do. You know, here's what you do week 1 and week 2 and week 3. And so we're going to copy that model with the diet app. Cause like what we kind of realized is like, you know, we were just selling the diet app, and man, we can, you know, really dive into nitty gritty if you want, but it's like, when you have to pay certain percent to Apple and Google, your margins are crushed right there for being in the app stores.
Yeah.
And then if you want to try to run paid traffic to it, well, obviously that's going to cost money. Well, if you're selling something that's like $15 a month, like, dude, your margins are like nothing. So like part of it is thinking, okay, well, like how can we actually better support people? Because what we're really selling people is results that they want. Yeah. And the app may not be enough by itself for some people. But can we bundle it with other things like our cookbooks with video guides? It's like, hey, here's how you do this. And like week by week walkthrough and instructions and all this stuff and bonus materials and all this. So people can really learn and understand the process. So we're really excited for that because it's like a kind of, when you're just an app, you're competing with all the other apps out there. And like you said, there's 10 trillion fitness apps out there. But now we can bundle it and we can create something else. Like we're no longer competing with all that stuff. We're sort of our own thing. And that just is really cool. And like we don't have to sell that through the app stores. Because if I had to do it all over again, I think you asked earlier in mistakes, I don't know if I would go through the app stores.
Ooh,
our most current app is not in the app store. Because it's like, if we're more niche down and if we're more for hardcore serious lifters, what benefit does being in the general population app stores really get us? Are we getting traffic from the app stores? Can I swear on here?
Yeah.
Fuck no, we're not. Fuck that. Like, no, we're going to give 30% to Apple, 15% to Google for fucking nothing? No.
That's crazy.
So again, like so now everything's kind of back in our ecosystem. We just have a lot more control over the data, and like we can really be confident in our numbers. And then if you're confident in that, then obviously it sort of changes the game. But again, this also goes back to like marketing and business mistakes. So we made a bunch of mistakes, and hopefully we're trying to learn from them.
Yeah. It's like everyone wants an app, but it's like, do you really want an app? It's like maybe you don't want an app because how much money you're going to lose and how much hassle that is.
But then maybe it doesn't have to be a native app.
Right.
Our app's just a progressive web app, and like you can use it on desktop, which is cool. You don't have to go through the app store. So it's kind of confusing. People are like, well, where's the app at? I was like, well, you just go to this link and you just download it. And then it's so easy. Like it works so like you could tell me that I had a native app on my phone with a hypertrophy app, and I would be like, I wouldn't know the difference. You can just put it right on your like home screen, and it functions 95% like a native app. So it's like most people won't even be able to tell the difference.
Wow, I didn't even know there was a difference.
Well, yeah, right? And, we've also had issues where like sometimes we made this huge update in I think like October of 2020. It's like during the pandemic. I remember because I was at my wife's house in Ohio. We launched this big update on Friday night at like midnight. It's a huge update on our app. And like we knew it would be buggy. We released it at midnight intentionally. So like the fewest number of people would be impacted and all that. Dude, the app store, like they don't really work on the weekends. So like we literally had like an update ready like an hour later to push through. It's just like 1 a.m., right? Our engineers work all sorts of crazy hours. It didn't get pushed through till like Monday. So we had like thousands of people impacted with like a buggy app for several days. Like that's just part of the stuff you deal with the app stores. It's just not great. Like sort of got people come to me now. They're like, hey, like, what do you think of the app? I'm like, don't do it. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm like, don't go through the app store. Like, that's stupid. You're going to pay them an arm and a leg and like they get to call all the shots and you have no control over anything.
Wow.
That is good advice. That is really good.
And it's something to even think about.
That's really granular because I think that everyone thinks it's cool. Yeah. And also then there's a lot of those platforms who, if you're just like a fitness trainer, you want to get your stuff onto somebody else's app, like a network app. Then they're taking such a big percentage too. There's so many other ways. And at the end of the day, like your clients, your customers are not buying because it's from the app store. They're buying because it's you.
Yes.
So as long as it's a great functionality and like the app works and it's giving them high premium product, then you're good. I love that.
By the way, so I totally hear you. People like the idea of an app. Oh, it's cool. Like, oh, it's just an app. Like, yeah, of course I need an app. Okay. Do you know how much goes into that? Do you know how long it's going to take? Do you know how much it's going to cost? Do you know that you have to continually produce updates and have someone maintain all this? What happens when you get paying clients now? You can't just willy-nilly change stuff because it might impact them. Like, there's so much more to it. Like, ugh. Especially for like someone that's like, more just like doing it themselves, like their own personal brand. Like, are you nuts? Why do you want an app? Like, yeah, if there's some software that you can use, maybe you do have to cut them a small, hopefully it's a small percent. If it's a huge percent, I don't know if it's worth it then. But like, man, use something out of the box.
That's good.
Everyone thinks that they need to go do their own things. Like, okay, all right, well, you're going to hire developers, you're going to have a full-time staff, and you got to pay for all that. And say, okay, but might be more than you think. So.
Wow.
Dude.
That's good.
Well, so we kind of covered, obviously we know RP works and the results, and
we're both going to do RP now.
Yeah.
after this vacation, I'm like, okay, I'm getting home. And we're like on a little lake.
Good time to start.
Right,
Good time to start, by the way, when we get back from our vacation. Yeah.
That's exactly my thoughts of like when we get back, we've living our best life, and we'll come home and we'll get shit dialed in.
That's right. Well, so I've been following along, obviously, for the past couple of months. I know literally you've already told us on this show that you have a competition in 2 days. That's why you're in New Jersey. So for everyone, basically...
Shout out to New Jersey listeners.
That's right. So have you done basically your entire prep? I kind of know the answer, but I want you to say this for everyone else. Have you done your entire prep and your methodology through RP and what it offers?
To prep for your show?
Are you basically a product of RP?
1,000,000%. And that is the coolest thing. It is the most organic, authentic thing I could ever do. Like, I had screenshots of my own app that I'm using, the Hypertrophy app.
Yes.
I have I'm sort of testing some stuff on our diet app, so I don't really post screenshots of that because then everyone would ask me so many questions. They'd be, oh, I don't have this. What is this? What is this? Like, so I don't really share a whole lot of that, but yeah, 100%. Like working with our own RP coach, Jared Feather. So he's sort of coaching me through the last couple of months. And, he's the one that's telling me to eat all these delicious, glorious carbohydrates today. So thank you to Jared. It's great, man. It's again, it's just really coming full circle, and it's just cool because I don't have to fake anything. It's just like, no, this is who I am. Some people are going to like it. They're going to love it. Some people are going to be totally turned off by it, and that's totally fine.
And that's, I've literally seen, I've pushed people to your page because they've, I've been following along. You literally are a product of what you do. Every time you do a workout or whatever you're eating, you literally post and show this is exactly what I'm doing. And I literally send that to people like, look at Nick is authentically RP. He does exactly what he is. He is the results right there. So it's amazing.
Yeah. And it's really interesting too. So Mike, Jared, and myself, we built the training app because we're like, we just want something like this. Like I finally had to throw away my notebook that I used for 10 years where I wrote everything down. I'm like, oh, now I just have an app. This is amazing. It's like we literally built it because we wanted to use it ourselves, and we knew people would like that. And that's what we're trying to do a little bit more with the diet app because we've just learned so many lessons from this more successful release. Yeah. Is I guess real quick. So we thought with the diet app that everyone just wanted our specific recommendations. So we built it with that in mind, and then we put it out. People are like, well, yeah, kind of, but I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. Yeah, I like your guys' guidance, but I obviously want to change a million things. Yeah. So basically from the start with this app, we build it with that idea in mind of you can start with our default recommendations all the time, but it's basically built where it's infinitely flexible. Whereas if you want to change an exercise or you want to change this around, so it's again, you just wouldn't know that if you were launching an app for the first time, but we got our butts just hammered from all this feedback from people wanting to do all these different things. It's well, let's just start from that place instead of, because again, once you've built everything, it's hard to go back and change and sort of redraw restart the drawing board or whatever. But it's that's not really the case now because, well, we learned all those hard lessons and, here we are. And
I think that's such a testament of what if you want to create something successful, create what you wish existed. Yeah. It's you created something that you and your business partner wanted yourselves. And because you're in it and you do this and this is your life, you were so granular with it. And obviously that's really cool to hear about how you guys got so much feedback and just had to change it for your audience and make it serve them. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, if you create something that you are obsessed with, it's easier to market. You have storytelling around it. And it's just an organic thing that you can put out into the world that obviously attributes to so much success. So I think my question for you is what's next for RP? Yeah. Anything next? You guys working on, you don't have to share anything that's under NDA, but anything that is that your audience can look forward to that's coming, or are we just staying consistent with the simple stuff?
Continually refining and updating. So we've got basically this huge list of things that we want to put in the new Hypertrophy app, and it's really just prioritizing them all and just going through and just continually putting out those new updates so it can do more and more and more. Because we actually released it as a paid beta Because like, we know it's not a completely finished product, but we've got like this list of, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 things. Once we can get these, then we'll stop calling it a beta. So that'll probably be, I don't know, by like the fall. And then again, all this stuff that we've learned now with the hypertrophy app, we can apply it to the diet app. And I don't want to say we're going completely back to the drawing board, but we are starting to kind of rethink how it does some stuff and just allows a bit more of that flexibility and sort of relooking at like, because we've got a very clear understanding of like what the avatar is and like the target market is for the hypertrophy app. Again, there's a lot of murky water around when it comes to the diet app. And so we're kind of going back to the drawing board and looking at that big. Okay, well, how can we sort of redesign, make the app sort of work very, very well for like this group of people that's going to want to use it in this certain way. So like that's probably like where we'll be at the rest of the year, I would say, is just getting the diet app into a better spot so it can do some more cool things, and then just keep working on the training app. So it's really, really, really good to go.
That's awesome.
That's
I'm
so
pumped.
amazing.
We're going to be,
I'm
after this vacay, we're going to get our shit
I'm
together.
always follow along. I'm like one of the biggest Nick Shaw and RP fans. I'm always pushing you guys.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and RP on social media?
Yeah, RP Strength on Instagram is our main channel. I would also highly encourage folks, if they're interested in learning more just about like diet and training in general, Renaissance Periodization YouTube channel. I would say only watch the YouTube channel if you're okay with some curse words, because Dr. Mike is known to, he makes me look like I'm a nun. And again, I swore a few times on here.
He's
so
a sailor.
He's a sailor. He's got the gift of the gab, and people love it. Like people, whatever, think he's like a comedian and all that. I've known him for so long that like, it's whatever. I just know him as that's just who he is. But yeah, he has that. So you can learn all that stuff totally for free on there, and it'll just sort of enhance all of your results when you're looking to get into fitness. And then my own social media page is at nick.shaw.rp on the gram.
And we'll link all that in the show notes so people
Yes.
can find you. Good luck on your show this weekend.
Yes.
We'll be following along. And this was great. I think it's really inspiring to hear what you've built, and also, the shortcomings or the failures along the way, the things, I wouldn't even say them failures. I don't believe in failure really.
The pivot moments.
But it's like, yeah, the pivotal
There's
moments.
a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, it's just part of it all. So thanks for sharing transparently. It's refreshing.
I will say thank you for wishing me good luck, because sometimes like when it comes to sport, I'm like, oh, you don't actually need luck, right? But like actually in a completely subjective sport like bodybuilding, like you actually do probably need some luck. So certainly.
Yeah.
If it was like powerlifting or weightlifting, hopefully there's not a lot of luck involved. It's just who can lift the most weight. But yeah, it's completely.
Well, isn't it down to like, I've never been to a bodybuilding show, but it's like, isn't it down to like, basically the judges are judging you on your show, and they're gonna give you a point system. So what if you get like one guy who just likes somebody else better? Like, is that the luck that we need?
Yeah,
like,
it's pretty much.
How does it work?
Yeah, you nailed it more or less. That's completely subjective. I have no idea. Here's my big thing. Here's the last little quick takeaway. I always remind myself, so I can't control the outcomes, because who knows, right? You could just get someone that shows up a complete genetic freak and they just make you look like garbage. They have no idea, no control over that. But I do know that like I, controlled my nutrition, I controlled my training, I controlled my step count, I controlled all my supplements for like the last, 4 months, let's call it. And I nailed that to like probably 99%. So I look my all-time best. From here, everything else is just gravy.
Hey, there you go. You did what you could. You did your best, and I think that feels good.
Totally.
I love it.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the Trust Issues podcast. If you love this episode with Nick, make sure you follow him on IG. Let us know what your takeaways are. Are you going to do RP with us? Like, what's the deal? Tag us if you do. And make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.